Why hello my fellow apes, I hope you are well. Today we're going to be taking a look at a viral video from Ben Shapiro in which he gives us his favourite, his best argument for God's existence. The original clip is from a Q&A he did a few years back, and I can recall not responding to it because it's frankly a mess. However, Ben's recently republished this clip as a YouTube short, and it's garnered tons of views and admiration. So I thought, alright, fine, why not respond to it? Let's see if this atheist can handle Ben's intellectual prowess.
What is your favorite argument for God's existence and why?
So my favorite argument for God's existence is that I believe in free will.
Alright, since Ben's argument relates to free will, let's get the relevant philosophical terms on the table, starting with determinism. To keep it simple, in the context of the free will debate, determinism is the view that our decisions and actions are predetermined, while indeterminism is the view that our decisions and actions are not predetermined. And mapping onto this division are two popular positions. One goes by the name compatibilism, which holds that free will is compatible with determinism. That is, we can have free will even if our decisions are predetermined. They're compatible. And the other goes by the name incompatibilism, which holds that free will isn't compatible with determinism. That is, if our decisions are predetermined, then we don't have free will. And many theists, including Ben, have and do typically uphold an incompatibilist view known as libertarianism, or libertarian free will. This view states that our choices are free from determinism and predestination by God. For instance, if you were faced with two equally attractive options and decided to go with option A over option B, your choice would genuinely be up to you. Your decision wouldn't be predetermined by outside forces, including God. Right then, with these terms in place, let's hear why Ben considers libertarian free will to be his favourite argument for God's existence.
So my favorite argument for God's existence is that I believe in free will. Okay, the reason that I think this is an argument for God's existence is because if you believe that human beings are essentially just balls of meat wandering around aimlessly in the universe, the kind of Spinoza's stone that thinks that it was moving of its own accord but actually was thrown, if you believe that and you don't believe in free will, then there's an internal coherence and logic to it.
Okay, there's already a lot to break down here, so let's take it step by step. Ben began by saying that his favourite argument for God's existence is that he believes in free will.
My favourite argument for God's existence is that I believe in free will.
So it would be fair to assume that he's going to argue that free will, specifically libertarian free will, is either 1, only compatible with theism, or 2, is best explained by theism. But despite him saying that he's going to explain why he believes libertarianism is an argument for God,
the reason that I think this is an argument for God's existence is because
he immediately shifted his attention to non-libertarian views.
If you believe that human beings are essentially just balls of meat.
So he's cut off more than he needed. Given the question, all he had to do was explain why libertarian free will is an argument for God's existence. He didn't have to first give us reason to reject all non-libertarian views. But hey, good for him. If he can get us on board with libertarianism, then all the power to him. What we can expect, then, is Ben to provide a reductio ad absurdum against non-libertarian views. That is, he's going to argue that not believing in libertarian free will results in contradiction or absurdity, which thus validates libertarianism. And then once we're on board, he's presumably going to explain why libertarian free will is best explained by theism. But unfortunately, while setting up his reductio, he conflated two very distinct propositions.
If you believe that human beings are essentially just balls of meat wandering around aimlessly in the universe,
Ben has a habit, a very frequent habit, of conflating views he disagrees with, and then dismissing them all on account of one of them being, at least according to him, inadequate. It's really weird, and it doesn't fly in philosophy, but it does, evidently, in the land of feelings, in apologetics. So here's the question. Does rejecting libertarian free will entail affirming any form of existential nihilism? No. One can reject libertarian free will and also think they're walking around with an aim, a goal, such as me, right now. I don't believe in libertarian free will, and yet I have the aim of adequately responding to Ben's extremely confident yet confused argument. Anyhow, following this, Ben claimed that if we believe we're like Spinoza's stone, that is, if we don't believe we have libertarian free will, and we also believe that we don't have libertarian free will, yeah, that's 2 for 1, then there's an internal coherence. So to be clear, not incoherence, but coherence to our logic. Our logic makes sense. Our view is coherent.
The kind of Spinoza's stone that thinks that it was moving of its own accord but actually was thrown. If you believe that and you don't believe in free will, then there's an internal coherence and logic to it.
Yeah, see what I mean by confused? Ben's argument has so far consisted of him saying that if we, 1, don't believe in free will on account of us affirming a mutually exclusive proposition.
If you believe that human beings are essentially just balls of meat wandering around aimlessly in the universe,
and we don't believe in free will.
If you believe that and you don't believe in free will,
then there's an internal coherence and logic to it.
There's an internal coherence and logic to it.
So again, coherence, not incoherence. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Perhaps, though, and to show charity that Ben has never extended to any of his opposition, we ought to interpret Ben as not meaning to say and that by coherence he means incoherence. Okay, let's hear it. Let's see Ben demonstrate why all non-libertarian positions are contradictory, and in doing so, eternalize himself in philosophy to be revered until the end of days.
If you believe that you have the ability to make independent choices, that you can actually supersede your own biological drives.
Okay, I've got to pause here, but don't worry, I'll replay the segment. Notice that despite launching a reductio against non-libertarian views, Ben did nothing with this. He said, if you believe not P, not libertarianism, then nothing. He said nothing. He spoke fast and said a lot, but it's a lot of nothing. And now he's dropped the reductio and is focusing on libertarianism. Okay, fine, let's start over. Explain why libertarianism is the best argument for God's existence. Let's hear it, Ben. Come on, let's do this.
If you believe that you have the ability to make independent choices, that you can actually supersede your own biological drives and the environment around you to any extent, even to the smallest extent, this means that you believe in something that can't actually be proved by science, but that you are living every single day.
To this, I'll offer 2 thoughts. First, Ben saying that libertarianism can't actually be proven by science. So, not that it hasn't been proven by science, but that it can't be proven by science, is just unfounded. And again, he gives us no reason to buy this hefty claim. Imagine if 15th century Europeans had said that other land masses, such as the Americas, can't be proven by science. No, the fact that they didn't have scientific verification at the time didn't mean that they couldn't have scientific verification. And second, it's not that libertarianism can't be confirmed by science, but rather that it contradicts a buttload of science that we've discovered. This accounts for why only 18.68% of philosophers affirm libertarianism. Continuing with the lost land analogy, libertarianism is the equivalent to Atlantis. We've searched long and hard for it. We've spent enormous resources looking for it. We've had every motivation to find it. But every piece of evidence, other than intuition and, you guessed it, scripture, suggests that it doesn't exist. Now, this isn't, of course, the same as saying that the mythical island of libertarian free will can't be discovered by science. And so, if you believe in libertarian free will, it's not, as Ben claims, that you believe in something that can't be proven by science.
This means that you believe in something that can't actually be proved by science.
No, let's call a spade a spade. Based on your feelings, your intuitions, you believe in something that contradicts tons of facts. Because when it comes to religion, facts apparently do care about your feelings. Who knew? Before moving on, it's worth noting again that rejecting libertarian free will does not mean that one rejects free will, at least not according to the majority of philosophers who affirm compatibilism. So far as the compatibilist is concerned, so long as you act according to your own motivation, your act is free, and it doesn't matter if your motivation is itself dependent or determined by external factors. If you choose chocolate ice cream over vanilla because you prefer chocolate, then your act is free. The fact that you didn't choose to like chocolate in the first place is irrelevant. So getting back to Ben, his very best argument for God's existence so far consists of him saying that if you believe in libertarian free will, then you believe in something that's scientifically bankrupt. Right. I mean, it's not really selling the case, but please, continue.
And the notion that you have that will, and not only that you have that will, but that will is capable of comprehending the universe around you, that your will is sort of, your ideas, your ability to comprehend the universe is a reflection of a reality, of an objective truth that is out there. That says to me that there is a God, there's a common source that stands behind that objective truth and stands behind the mind that can comprehend that truth.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
It did. It really did. So let's slow it down and pick it apart. After saying that if you believe in libertarian free will, then you believe in something that can't be proven by science, Ben brought up the correspondence theory of truth.
And not only that you have that will, but that will is capable of comprehending the universe around you, that your will is your ideas, your ability to comprehend the universe is a reflection of a reality, of an objective truth that is out there.
And then he asserted, and it is just an assertion, he didn't give us an argument, he didn't provide any evidence, etc., that God is the common source that stands behind objective truth.
Your ideas, your ability to comprehend the universe is a reflection of a reality, of an objective truth that is out there. That says to me that there is a God, there's a common source that stands behind that objective truth and stands behind the mind that can comprehend that truth.
So, most crucially, notice that all the talk of free will is doing no work here whatsoever. It's irrelevant. The correspondence theory of truth has always, and still does, enjoy predominant support from lay people and philosophers alike, from theists and atheists alike. It's compatible with every view of free will. However, Ben's choice of language is obfuscating this fact. Rather than saying that your ability to comprehend the universe is the best argument for God's existence, which is pretty much presuppositionalism, that is, a lobotomy, he's throwing in the word will.
But that will is capable of comprehending the universe around you.
And that's it. That's the end of the clip. So, to recap, Ben's favourite argument for God's existence, his best argument for God's existence, is that he believes in libertarian free will.
My favorite argument for God's existence is that I believe in free will.
And after spending half his time setting up a reductio against non-libertarian views,
if you believe that human beings are essentially just balls of meat,
all while conflating non-libertarian views with a form of existential nihilism,
balls of meat wandering around aimlessly in the universe,
he dropped this completely. He did nothing with it. From there, he claimed that if you believe in libertarian free will, then you believe in something that can't be scientifically proven. And of course, he offered no justification for this claim.
This means that you believe in something that can't actually be proved by science.
And then he dropped free will altogether to claim that the existence of objective truth presupposes God.
Your ideas, your ability to comprehend the universe is a reflection of a reality, of an objective truth that is out there. That says to me that there is a God, there's a common source that stands behind that objective truth and stands behind the mind that can comprehend that truth.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. But to be fair, a large part of why I'm not convinced is because Ben didn't give us any reason at all to buy any of his absurd views, his claims. Why would you re-upload this? Anyhow, as always, thank you kindly for the view, and an extra special thank you to my wonderful patrons and YouTube members. Until next time, my fellow apes, until next time.